ね。弓ヶ浜っていうところに行きました。毎年夏に家族で南伊勢から
Hey friends, it's Akidearest. So I'm dressed very bright today because today's theme of the video is going to be giving you guys a tour of a project that I've been working on for what feels like forever now. I think I've been working on this room for like 3.5 weeks now. I've been going to a lot of thrift stores in order to turn our tatami room into the Showa era of Japan, or at least as close as possible. The Showa era was a point in Japan between the late 20s to the late 80s, and I just felt like it really needed a touch-up. So I'm just gonna go right into it and take you guys on a tour to our Showa room. Here we are. You can just like pan around, look around the room for a little bit, but this is what I've been working on. You're gonna see a lot of things in this room, from really old toys to posters from movies during that time, and also because there was a lot of American influence coming into Japan at that point, you're gonna see some mixes of some aesthetics that are obviously really inspired from like the 50s America. So when you first come into the room, you're gonna see this wall that has this material that I found at the dollar store. This is like kind of what they would use as curtains, but I've seen some vintage places that would use this on their walls just for the aesthetic. But let's get to this wall, right? Okay, so we've got a lot of posters here that I tried to make sure that they were in the Showa era. If not, then they're pretty damn close. But we have Gamera, which is not really a series that is known outside of Japan, I feel.
No, Gamera is kind of like cult classic.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay, because I never hear people talking about it in America. They usually talk about Godzilla, but Gamera I think is in the same world as Godzilla, right? Because I never watched it personally.
I think so.
Yeah. This is what the first school bag looked like. So today, you'll see a lot of children with those really big Japanese school bags. I always forget.
Randoseru.
Yeah, that thing. But this is what they used to look like. I don't really know what you could have put in here besides maybe one tiny little book and maybe some pencils, but I'm just gonna try to open it. Trying to be careful. Okay. So, this is what the school bags used to look like. Gumi Midori. Midori Gumi.
Midori Gumi is probably the name of the class.
Okay, so I guess their name is Tomita Hiro, and their class was called Midori Gumi. Whatever that.
Green class.
Oh yeah, and then I had to put some snacks here because these are all snacks that you can still eat. The packaging hasn't really changed. So this is umaibo, which is like a corn puff stick, and lots of kids still eat this today. So I have kokeshi dolls here. And then I don't know what this is. I think it's a sake bottle.
It is a sake bottle.
Yeah, but like a really old styled sake bottle. Oh, and just so you guys know, I earthquake proofed everything. So when this shakes, it will hopefully hold up. I've done like a little like shake test. This is gonna be scary to do, but watch. Yeah, so hopefully this doesn't fall. We have some other figures as well that I found at the thrift store. So this is a tin plate poster. These are really big in the Showa era. And then here are some magazines that I bought from a thrift store as well. This is a beauty magazine. Yeah, oh yeah, this is what manga looked like back then as well. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And then I actually haven't opened this one. I just got this one yesterday. Yeah, it looks like that this is to teach you how to make certain type of clothing. And then on this wall, I bought some kind of kaiju figures. I found these like in a box. It was like 300 yen each, but it's pretty cool. And of course, it wouldn't be the Showa era without Godzilla. So up here, I have a whole bunch of Godzilla posters and Indiana Jones, because still there was American influences, and I think a lot of Americans.
He's called Indie Jones.
Indie Jones in Japanese. I also got this pile of cassettes for 100 yen. They're pretty cool. We don't have a cassette player actually in here yet, so I gotta go get that. Guess what we got? Maria Takeuchi. Plastic Love, baby. So up here, these are, if I can just reach. I'm gonna show you guys this. I got this from the thrift store again, and these are postcards / photos of Kyoto from the Showa era as well. And I just thought that this was kind of like a cool collectible to have. Oh, right, and so I want to show you guys this. This is like just a fun thing I wanted to have, but obviously Japan is really known for their gacha machines. So I bought one off of Amazon, and this is for guests that come over and visit the showa room. And before you leave, you can actually put a coin in, and so I'll just like open up this tin can. And these are coins that the game came with, and you can put it in here. Don't tell me that that's not fucking cool. I always saw this mascot in a lot of pictures and videos from the Showa era, and I had no idea where he was from, but this is the mascot for pharmacies, and it's I think his name is Sato-chan. So I had to go get him because he was a pretty big mascot back then as well. And behind him, black and white photos. So again, these are just really cool things to have. Views of Takamatsu City from the top of Mountain Yashiyama. I've never heard of Takamatsu. And then this is an old school book.
You know how you can tell it's old?
That it's brown?
Because they use the old kanji for su. We don't use this kanji anymore.
Now, I originally wanted to put it in this school bag, and I tried to, it doesn't fit. So I don't know what they could have put in here at the time.
It's probably just pencils and stuff.
Yeah, but it's just like, why even bother bringing a backpack to school? Okay, so now let's look at the most iconic point of this room, is the tatami bed. So I wanted to make this part kind of look like a Showa living room. I think a real Showa living room at the time would have looked a little bit more simpler, but I had to be fun with it because a lot of friends are gonna hang here. So I'm just gonna start off with this table in the center of the tatami bed. Now, typically when you look up a Showa room, you're gonna see one that is a circle, and it's called a chabudai, but I had to get this because this was so cheap, and the chabudai for some reason is either too hard to find or it was too expensive online, and I didn't know anyone who had one. But I went to the thrift store and this was being sold for 1,000 yen, and I looked online and there were some photos, so I think it passes. And then under it we have some zabuton, which are floor cushions. Now these are not thrifted because for sanitary reasons I wanted a new one, but we can have people that can just sit on these and they're really, really comfortable. I think this toy is like pre-Showa, but
I think it was like invented in the Edo period.
yeah, but I still thought it was cool to have. And this is only 500 yen. It's in still pretty good condition. And you would take this rope and tie it around kind of like the top, and then you would kind of like flick it until it would start spinning. And before you say it, yeah, Beyblade is pretty much based off of this toy.
Yeah, it's called a Beigoma. That's where they got the Bay and Beyblade from.
Hey, fun facts. Okay, so I also have this little serving plate. I have this retro glass that is already modernized. The woman who sold me the school book earlier also sold me some playing cards that she had, so I thought that these were really cute. These are sweets that some guests can eat. These were really, really popular in the Showa era as well. And then I have some Hanafuda cards. I only know about Hanafuda from Summer Wars. Before that movie, I never even heard of the playing card game. And then I also found this from the thrift store. I have a lot of playing cards. This is a playing card based off of this specific idol. And then I also got some bowls here that are probably just going to be decorative. But I also bought some ciders. There was a store I went to recently and they were selling a lot of drinks that were retro themed, so I thought it was like the perfect opportunity to buy. Oh yeah, and then this is a melon cider. I've already drank a whole bunch of it and it's really fucking good. So this is probably the most painful part to search for on the internet, which was a vintage radio, vintage TV, and that fan. That fan in specific was the one that where I was like, if I can't find this fan, then this room will never be complete. Every Showa room had a fan like almost exactly like this. And a big reason for it is because it was before AC. Now, despite the fact that the AC is on right now, aesthetically wise, I needed this fan, and it does still work. So what I'm actually going to do in one of my next videos is test out a lot of the technology that I'm going to show you guys in this room. But I have this television now. Of course, it doesn't broadcast, but it does turn on. It does turn on, and I was really surprised about that. And so it's a dial TV. Man, it's so heavy. And then this is a radio, which does broadcast, and I bought it off of an old woman from a thrift store that sold it to me for 9,800 yen.
It
works! If we move out, then the next place we get, it has to have a tatami room because I'm not gonna get rid of any of this. We're gonna have a show room probably forever. So above the TV and the radio, I also have some accents here. Again, all thrifted. Had to get a Polaroid camera. I got Astro Boy. Got a mini robot, which this still works. Here, let me show you guys. He fast as fuck, boy! And then here's a nice little car that I also found, also thrifted. Doraemon squeak toy. Did that scare you?
All good.
This is really cool. This is a hairpin case from the Showa era that I also found. So actually, I'm not going to open that. I'm going to make a future video of testing out also beauty products. Now, another thing, this is all thanks to also Joey's family for suggesting some accents that were really important to have in a Showa room. But one of them is this black dial phone. I got this for 500 yen, which was just such a steal.
So if you wanted to call 911, obviously not a real number here, you would put your finger in where the 9 is, pull it all the way around until you hit this metal thing, pull it away, you just dialed 9. 1, 1, then you pick it up.
Yep.
And boom.
This TV does work. This was already here before I even started all of this.
I bought this.
Yeah, Joey bought this because he wants to play games, and all of his consoles are behind.
You gotta, if you're playing an N64 or a GameCube or a Super Nintendo, you gotta have a CRT TV.
And it works really well.
It does. Yeah.
This is a good find. And then I also have some magazines. This is Car Graphic, and it has a lot of really cool cars from the Showa era. Oh, and then this is a men's magazine. I'm not gonna open this because it's very, very nude. Remember when magazines used to do this? Here's some shelves with some pretty iconic dolls and figures that were really big back then. So this monkey, which Joey is not really a big fan of.
I hate it.
This is Monchichi, and I don't know, I thought he was kind of cute. We had to have one.
You don't like monkeys though, and you like that one?
It's cute. But I do love Peko-chan. This, surprisingly, is one of the most expensive things in this entire room. The most expensive thing in the showroom is actually the radio, which was 9,800 yen. The second most expensive was Peko-chan, which is this doll, which was 6,800 yen. When you think of the Showa period and you think of a mascot, it's most likely Peko-chan. If not, then it's the one next to her, which is the Kewpie doll, which I don't know why this was so big, but everyone like outside of Japan just calls it the mayonnaise baby. So now we have this clock, which is also iconic of the Showa period. This is modernized because finding a completely vintage one that still works was actually very, very expensive. So I just got this one for 3,000 yen, and it works. It looks the part even though it's new. Now I'm going to take you to this wall. We have some more Kokeshi dolls. Again, these are all earthquake proofed in case everything shakes. This is soap from the Showa era. These are true vintage. So there is soap in here and it smells like shit. Now these, it's a little bit more closer to home. These were given by Joey's grandma a few years ago, and I guess she was moving out and she wanted to give away some stuff, and Joey told her that I was really into vintage stuff, and that was like 2.5 years ago, so I've kept really good care of them since then. And these are also earthquake proof. Travel hairdryer, again, I'll test that out in the future video. Dororo, which is kind of a cool find. This is a manga. And then this is a map of Shinagawa. I don't know why I got this, but I just thought it was just kind of cool. Car magazine. Oh, Ultraman. More Ultraman. And then more of Joey's grandma's knickknacks that she gave to us. Over here, I wanted a calendar, and I was debating if I wanted to get like a actual retro calendar, but this is a 2022 calendar with the aesthetic of the Showa era, so it still works and we can use it right now. And then over here I just have some really thin movie posters as well. The thing I like about these types of posters is that the aesthetic of it looks like somewhere between a painting and a photo. So that was our Showa room. I'm just really glad that it's finally done. I'm probably gonna be adding more stuff in the future, but I think this is as good as it's gonna get for now, and it turned out better than I could have possibly imagined it to be, and I'm really glad I could show you guys. So yeah, let me know in the comments below what you guys think. I'm gonna be making more videos of the details of this room in the future, so stay tuned in for that. But I appreciate you guys for watching, and subscribe to my channel for more content, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!